Welcome back to the talk show. For those of you that just tune in, I'm your host, Suri Smith. Do write to us at thetalkshow@ann7.com and tell us about any cool cars that you've got stored up in the garage. Up next, we absolutely love telling a success story, and what better way to do it than in a V8 Vantage Coupe. Take a look at this next clip. Hi GC.
Hi Suri.
So with me is GC Lukele. He's the general manager over here at Aston Martin Santon. Thanks so much for having us.
Absolute pleasure.
Tell us more about this beauty.
Welcome back to Aston Martin. The last time you were here, we looked at the Vantage, which was our sports GT car. Today we're looking at our absolute sports car. So this is the Vantage. It's the car that's known for its racing heritage. In fact, just recently won the Le Mans 24-hour GT Pro endurance race in a very similar spec to this. So you can be assured that when you're in this car, you have all the sensation of racing.
Definitely, and just gorgeous lines throughout. Tell us more about the different types of materials that they use to actually build this machine.
So, like all Aston Martins, this car is hand-built, and this car is built of authentic materials. If you talk about the hides, the leather hides, which are reared specifically for these vehicles out in Wales, to all the other materials that they use, but everything is authentic, and you get that sensation. You need to be inside the car to experience what we're talking.
So let's get inside and go for a drive.
I think that's a good idea.
Wow, it feels so luxurious inside.
Well, welcome to Aston Martin, or the inside of an Aston Martin, because while the car looks absolutely exquisite from the outside, what we cannot put in words or on paper is the sensation of feeling in a hand-built, handcrafted car as we are. Think about it, essentially you're sitting in James Bond's car.
Guys, and I feel like James Bond right now. You certainly look like it.
Forgiven.
So I just want to just make mention that there isn't actually, you actually press a button to choose drive, neutral, reverse or sport. There's no little gear knob that you actually change gears with.
So once again, in true James Bond style, why have a gear selector like every other car? It needs to have some mysticism around it. It needs to have a push button, because while you're driving, you'd almost think that there's probably an eject button, right?
Yes, or something that shoots out laser.
Absolutely. And so you leave the trim in this car. You literally play the lead role in your own movie.
Wow, nice little watch in the middle here, just to remind you that there is, so much style inside this interior. Also, a lot of little buttons you can choose. The seats are operated from the middle console. I see these nice cup holders. There's also a power outlet where you can charge your phone, little storage compartment. Although it's quite limited in space because it's a two-seater, it feels incredibly spacious.
I think that's a key part of the design brief for this car, is that while it's a sports car, and for us, for Aston Martin, it's the sportiest car that you'll buy, it's very important to feel comfortable inside the car. And you mentioned all these little amenities that are available to you driving the car. What you probably can't, again, describe to someone watching this clip is how it feels, because if you talk about the pocket and the door pockets and inside the ashtray, everything is lined in leather
and padded,
and so it feels good.
Smells good.
And it smells good. So that's very important in an Aston Martin, because an Aston Martin creates a good balance between sportiness and everyday usability, because
craftsmanship.
Absolutely. What would James Bond do? He would drive this car every day.
Yes.
And yet when he needs to go into a hot pursuit, he needs to have the performance that this car offers.
That's so true. But GC, I know that you've got you are James Bond to me after I heard your story. Share with the viewers a little bit of how you got to do what you're doing today.
So, right from when I was in high school and university, I was already looking at opportunities of, part-time jobs, holiday jobs, what I could do during school holidays. And I so happened to start my first job, part-time with a car company and doing sort of PR work, meet and greet, that kind of stuff. And when I finished studying, I actually was asked to start with a premium brand, actually, and as a student, as a graduate trainee. And
was that through networking? Someone you met through networking, or was it?
It was through knocking doors. I used to knock on doors, call people
So it
until
was
they
hard
went
work.
mad. Yeah, I think
Persistence
they really
is key.
Absolutely. I think they just let me on because they didn't want to hear from me again. It worked. And I started with my now employer after doing that graduate program, literally as a runner. I did everything from sealing letters, dropping stuff off, washing cars, managing the showroom, to then moving into sales, not doing so well. I got fired 3 times.
Nog meer.
to then staying on, and I think after a while
What were you selling first?
So I started with cars, and I started with BMW, and I was with BMW for 10 years, and what an amazing journey with them. I learned many good things working there, and just about a year ago then I was given this opportunity of being entrusted with such an amazing brand and an aspirational brand for many people.
Yeah.
And so I don't take it lightly. It's a huge privilege.
And during all of this 10 years, or everything you were doing, washing cars, letters and everything, did you ever feel like quitting?
Yes, many times. I did. I think that the key thing is to see with transcendent eyes, so seeing beyond where we are. And I think there are some lessons there for all of us. Our nation right now, it's quite easy to get bogged down with many things that could be better, and missing out on what could be. And I think that's a key thing, persistence. Yeah. Getting up when you don't feel like it, when you've just been told you're good for nothing. In my case, when you've just been fired.
Yeah, 3 times. I guess a lot of people quit just before they have their big break.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that we need to remember, is if you push through, you might just be the general manager of Aston Martin Santon, guys. If you work really hard.
Those are wise words.
Yeah. So just back to the vehicle now. We've been driving for a little bit, and I thought in my mind, the car being so low profile, that it would be very bumpy, but it just absorbs the road. I mean, it feels like we're not even really moving at all. You do feel the torque whenever you put your foot down, but it's not as bumpy as I thought it would be.
So once again, this is quite key for an Aston Martin, because our user, or at least our customer, will want to use the car for more than just a weekend and going on a racetrack and that kind of experience. The idea is that it needs to be easy to get in and out of. It needs to be easy to drive in. And as you can feel, the cabin is quite well insulated. The ride, well, this particular car happens to have a comfort suspension setting, but it's very, very comforting to drive every day. The ride's corseting, and you could actually have a conversation as we're having, listen to some good music, be on Bluetooth, talking about something important, say work or family or whatever. And so the idea is that your life should continue, even though you're in a bespoke, hand-built sports car. Your life still needs to continue.
Exactly. So it's not just a race car, it's an everyday car.
It's an everyday car, and it's not just a relic, because what good is it when you can't drive your car to decide to go and pick up your son, from sport or cricket?
Imagine picking your son up from sport in this vehicle. So, like James Bond, if he had to get away from someone or be in a hot pursuit. How fast does this vehicle go? What's the top speed? I see there 330.
So this particular car, the top speed is 295, and so you have more than enough. So it could easily get you arrested.
0 to 100?
Not to 100 in this car would be 4.8 seconds.
Wow.
So it's brisk. But what's the big story about this car is not so much the hard figures, but it's how it gets there. You know, I get really emotional when I think about this particular model, because after 11 years on the market in South Africa, not many models have those kinds of life cycles anymore. We're coming to an end of an era where cars were just
Look at this, guys. You're about to cry.
I know. Where cars were just cars. Normally aspirated 4.7 litre V8 engine. A sequential manual gearbox that's not about efficiency necessarily. It's all about feel. It wants to be driven. It wants me to be in charge of the driving experience, and I love that. You know, front mid-engine sports car with a rear-wheel drive, power going into the rear, makes for such a pure experience. And you know, it's a kind of car, I didn't know it until I moved to Aston Martin, but on my first night out on this job, I drove this car and it totally blew me away.
Wow.
And I'm really sad that this car's coming out of production, but hey, like all good things.
You know. Well, there you have it, guys. Head on over to Aston Martin Santon, check out this baby, and remember, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of our show, but do tune in again next week when we'll start up our engines once again. Until then, buckle up and drive safe.